Hello, everybody. I have a Temu order. I don't remember what I ordered. So this is going to be a surprise to all of us. But it's just I know it's a small order. And at the moment, this is the only thing I had outstanding. I had a small problem with my debit card. In that somebody apparently was trying to use it, and the security code that they put on the back, the 3-digit code, the CVV or whatever they call it, um, apparently they tried to guess it too many times and it locked my card. So I had to wait a week to get a new one. That was a hassle and a half. Because I got home from work and it was, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning because I had worked an overnight shift. I don't have very many of those anymore, which is nice. Um, but there was a message on my answering machine. I'm like, what is this? And I listened to it and they explained that somebody had tried to use my card, too many attempts, blah, blah, blah. Call this number, either call the number on the back of your card or call this number. Somebody will be available to help you 24/7. So I called that number because reading the back of that card, I could barely see the numbers. It was so tiny. And all it did was tell me that somebody tried to use the card. There were too many attempts. Call the number on the back of my card. So I called that number. And they said, well, we need the case number. I'm like, they didn't give me a case number. But nowhere did they talk about a case number. And they're like, well, we can't do anything without a case number. So call this other number and talk to somebody, get your case number. So I called that other number and they wanted my account number. I don't know it off the top of my head. I didn't have anything right at hand with it on. So I kept trying to find a way to get a human, and you can't get a human anymore. Everything's automated. So it cut me off. It disconnected me. Well, I found my checkbook. So I was like, okay. And I tried calling it again. And when it started dialing, it connected me to a girl that I work with as a video app, a video chat. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, what's going on? Why are you sending me this video chat? And I'm like, I didn't. I was in the middle of calling my bank. I don't know what, you know. So I finally gave up and said, you know what? I'll just drive to the bank, which basically meant going almost back to work because it's 12 miles to the client's house that I was working at that night. Is 12 miles to the bank. So went to the bank. The girl there, she is amazing. Her name's Regina, and she is fantastic. Every time I've ever had a problem, she's been able to fix it. And she took care of it. And she says, it looks like somebody was trying to order a lift, something off the Lyft app. And I'm like, I don't have that app. I have never used it. That is not me. She goes, well, luckily they didn't get any money, or that would have been a whole other situation. And she's like, there's a Walmart one for this amount. And I said, that's me. Because I had just ordered a bunch of stuff, groceries and things. And so there's this other one. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, well, okay, then the only one is this Lyft app that is what flagged it. And so she ordered me a new card and it finally came today. So now I can do grocery shopping tomorrow. But it took a week for the card to come, and that's not unreasonable. She did say a week to 10 days, so it was the short part. Yay. And so that's been taken care of. But I haven't been able to do anything for a week. I had a little bit of cash, but that was all. I mean, I've been running on $50 for the last week, and I still have a little bit of that left. Okay, this is a bag of rubber ducks. I've been ducking Jeeps. Does it say model rubber duck? Anyway, they're purple glitter. They're cute. I only have a couple of the pink ones left, so I had to get something new, so I have purple glitter ones now. They're cute. They're almost clear, and then the glitter itself is the purple. I don't know if you can tell that from... I like them. They're cute. I like that they're in a zipper bag. The other ones weren't. So they sometimes escape and go all over my car. So I got that. And a hoodie for the Neko. Since he likes cats. I saw this and I really, really liked it. They offered me a deal where if I ordered, I could get $12 off. So I got $12 off the hoodie. Isn't that cool? You know, it would have been better. It would have been really awesome if it had ears, but it doesn't. But I think this is a really neat cat. And of course, he has got the little pouch where you can put your hands, and the back is the same. So I think he'll like that. Okay, and last thing, the trash can, is a set of Beetlejuice pins, which I believe most, if not all, are different than what I already have. Let's see here. There's a bunch of them. Does it say how many? It just says, oh, 10 pieces. Okay. So here is one. It's a tombstone. It says, never trust the living. This one is a heart of Barbara and Adam. That the Alec Baldwin character. It's the Maitlands and some sandworms making a heart. Uh, Here's Beetlejuice. And I don't have that one. Here's a different heart of the Maitlands and a sandworm. This one's kind of cuter. And we have a heart that's made out of a sandworm. Here's a heart with Beetlejuice and Lydia and some roses. I like that one. And we have the Maitlands again. This one's just a black and white. Let me flip that around. I don't know why they insist on putting the printed side of the bag over the design. That's one of those things that kind of bugs me every time they do it. There they are. That means I'm going to have to do some rearranging for sure. I don't think I have enough room to put all of these on. Okay, here's Lydia. This one goes with the Beetlejuice that was by himself. Because they're more the animated series. Oh, where did he go? He's just right here. So these two are more from the animated series than from the movie. But I think they'll be good to put up. Oh, oh. Here's another sandworm. I thought that was the last one, but no, found two more. And another one that's in the bag so that the print covers everything up. This one is a heart with Beetlejuice and Lydia of the more animated style. And that is everything in that order. So cool. Um, that's all I've got for this one. I've got a small book haul, which I think I'll do by itself. There's really only 2 books and a couple magazines. Let's add the book haul to this since it is so tiny. Okay, so I previously hauled book 2 of the Mitford series by Jan Karon. This is book 5. I found this at a different thrift shop. So my goal now is to fill in. I need 1, 3, and 4, and anything that comes after this if there are any. I don't know how many books are in the series. I thought book 2 sounded hysterical. I hope it's as good as it sounds. Um, is there a list of the books in the series by chance? At Home in Mitford is book 1. A Light in the Windows, I have that one. These High Green Hills, Out to Canaan, and A Common Life. This is a new song. This is book 5. So at some point when I gather them up, I will hopefully get a chance to read them. And I got that one at a thrift store. This I picked up at the library in their little freebie box. This is the New Ohio Review, issue 35. This is winter 2025, apparently. So it's a current one. Um, wow, it's $11 for this. Let's see. It's got a whole bunch of authors, which presumably are from Ohio. Anybody I know? I don't recognize any of these authored names. Um, yeah, I don't recognize any of the names. But it looks like it is poetry, um, a little bit of fiction, a little bit of nonfiction. Feature Dance as Joy and Resistance. This sounds like maybe more essay. My Mother Baryshnikov, Dance as Joy and Roskay's Burial. So it's like looks like a criticism maybe. Breath and Death in Rothke's My Papa's Waltz. Yeah, this sounds like it may be more like literary criticism and essay. So we have some fiction, not a lot of fiction. There's only 6 fiction, 2 nonfiction, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 under the feature, and quite a few poems. So this might be pretty interesting. At the very least, it'll go on my literary shelf. And then I picked up, there was a stack of magazines sitting there. Um, this is Tomorrow's World, The Meaning of Life. I don't know a whole lot about it. But I thought it might have something interesting in it. If nothing else, I can cut it up for other stuff. This one is the Spring 2024 Chop Chop. It's a cooking magazine put out by oh, I forgot the name of the organization. Ohio State University Extension Office. It's put out by Um, and it's not like clearly put, hey, this is what you're looking for. But it has to do with nutrition and recipes and, teaching your kids to cook. And here's mashed avocado toast. Teach your kid how to make that. Cottage cheese pancakes. So, health and nutrition and banana berry smoothie. Here's a math lesson because cooking has a lot of math. Here's a word search that somebody's already done. There's a maze. So there's a lot of different activities in here. Hippies. Okay, that's fine. There's a Taste of Home magazine. Oh, this ginger glazed lemon bundt cake looks fantastic. Cooking light smoothies and snacks. Couple. Oh, here's all recipes. Holiday 2024. That looks like caramels on the front. Nothing like homemade caramels, man. They're fantastic. Couple more Taste of Home. Shortbread lemon tart. That looks good too. And what is this? Game day bites, Valentine treats, easy Easter dinner. When is this one from? February, March 2024. Weeknight Easy, Volume 3. Whatever that is on the front looks good. It's one called Seasoned, the inspired cooking magazine for older adults. Winter 2020. This one's about soup. Well, here's a couple more all recipes. Grill and Chill, Let's Party, Summer 2024. I see shrimp. The Neko loves shrimp. Spring 2024, the fresh issue. I may have that. I don't know. I used to get that magazine. I don't know when I stopped getting it. But that's all I've got. Short and sweet. Well, for me anyway. Considering most of my videos seem to be around an hour, sometimes more, especially if I get talking. That's all I've got for today. Is there anything you'd like us to do? What you'd like to see? Um, are you interested in like kind of book review-ish things? I have been reading some stuff that I really like. I can show you one. Ah, there. Got this one out from the library. This one's called Night Came with Many Stars by Simon Van Boy. It's set in Kentucky, and it's got like a dual timeline. So we follow a girl named Carol in the 1930s, and then we follow her grandson Samuel. I am blanking on names today. Yeah, Samuel in the 1980s, and they eventually the two timelines merge, and we get that all that. But Carol, her dad was a drunk and a gambler, and he lost her in a poker game. And she went with the guy. She was only allowed to go on the weekends. They made some deal. And she'd go, and the guy that won her ended up assaulting her, and she ended up pregnant. And clearly, that's if we go down the line, she ended up with grandkids, or a grandkid. But her son, Rusty, lives with Samuel and his parents in the 1980s timeline. So Rusty's like the continuous line throughout the whole thing. Um, and he's got some issues. He's got some mental disabilities. His legs aren't developing properly, so he's got some issues. And nobody ever talked down to him. Everybody always took care of this kid, which I thought was really good because a lot of times if you have a character who has a disability, they pander to that, and they didn't in this case. It wasn't until we were probably half to three-quarters of the way through the book that I even knew that he used a wheelchair briefly, because in the 1980s timeline he's walking. So it shows Carol meets a man and they end up falling in love and getting married, and they have a second child, and that child then is Samuel's mother. Um, but while Carol and her husband Joe are together, Joe adopts Rusty and has an idea on how to help him, and starts implementing this idea, and it builds up the muscles in Rusty's legs, and he ends up able to walk, which is pretty cool. But that's a very, very short part of the book because there is so much other stuff going on. Um, there's a car accident. Samuel's in a car accident, nearly killed. Um, his best friend Eddie goes to prison multiple times for various things. I mean, and there's just so much stuff. And in the end, it all comes together, and it was a very, very, very good book. I loved it. I easily 5 stars for me. Um, Absolutely recommend if you're interested in character, you're interested in dual timelines, you're interested in um, something a little bit historical. I think it was very, very well written, very good. I am going to see if I can find some more by that author. I also read a book called What You Are Looking For Is in the Library, which is a Japanese translation, translated from the Japanese. Um, and this one had multiple stories that are interconnected. So, like, each chapter follows a different person, but all the stories are interconnected. The people in the end, you can see all the connections. Um, Everybody ends up going to the same library, and they meet the same librarian. And the librarian does a craft called felting, where you have like a ball of fibers. I don't know if it's yarn or if it's just fiber. I don't know. And you take a needle and you smush it all together and you can create things. That's what this lady does. And these people would go in with various things. One girl goes in, she's unhappy in her life. She wants to do something more. She's thinking about maybe changing jobs. And she goes and she talks to the librarian and she gives her this list of books. And one of the books seems to be kind of a random thing, is a children's book. And she's like, I remember this book as a kid, and they find this giant egg, and it's like these two, I think they're squirrels, find this giant egg, and they try to figure out how to transport it home and what to do with it once they get it there and everything. Well, the little felted item that the librarian hands her is a frying pan. And so this girl, she reads the story and she's like, I should learn how to cook. And she starts teaching herself how to cook. She wants to make this recipe that's in this children's book. And she talks to this guy that she works with. He's in a different department. And he's talking about how, he quit a position he had and took the job he's got now, which allows him now to have more free time, and he is eating healthier and he's getting exercise and he feels better and he's sleeping and all these things. He says maybe that's all you need is to make one change, and it will satisfy whatever it is that's bothering you. Well, then we later get his story, and he's interwoven with another person who he used to work at a publishing house. This Then another chapter, we have this lady who used to work at a magazine, and she went on maternity leave, and when she came back, basically had lost her position. And they're like, well, yeah, you can still have a job, but we want you to work over in this section instead, where she was in line to be editor. Now she's like just doing research or whatever, and she's very upset over it. And she visits the library and runs into the guy when she was out and about, and he's because she's wanting to change jobs. She's thinking, I really liked what I did when I worked in this the editor position, because as part of that I met this author and we set up this thing where she wrote this serial and then we printed it as a novel, and I'd kind of like to get back into that part. She talked to this guy that had worked in publishing, and he's like, I know that author, and they had a discussion about it. And he's like, try this company. And she's like, oh, but they do children's books. He's like, they do other stuff too. Talk to this company. It might be a good fit. She talked to the company. She gets a new job. Everybody there is a working mom. So bringing the kids in, that was a bonus because they did all these children's books. Well, if their kids liked it, then other kids are going to like it. And she ended up thriving. And then there's later on, the first girl, she had gone in originally to take a computer class. The lady who teaches the computer class at the very end is the wife of the guy who's in the last chapter. So it comes full circle. We end up meeting. There's another chapter about a guy who wanted to open his own shop. He was very interested in antiques and furniture. He was unhappy in the position he was currently in. He wanted to open a shop, and he went and talked to the librarian about books about how to start your own business. And he ended up meeting this guy who taught him that he could have parallel careers. So he could open his shop, but he could also stay in the job he has. And if he could learn to manage his time, he could do both and, you know, thrive. And that guy used to, when he was a kid, go to this antique shop, and he was just fascinated by it. And one day he was going to go there and it was closed. And they said that the owner of it had taken off. That's not entirely true, because the final chapter where we meet the wife who teaches the computer classes, we also meet the guy who had started that antique shop and was tied into the guy who wanted to start his own business. And it's really neat how it all wove together. And the librarian was, one of the characters asked her, how do you know what to give each person? She goes, it's just random. I just reach in and pull one out of the drawer, and whatever I pull out, that's the one you get. It's what you take from it that gives it meaning. And I don't know, I'm not explaining it well, I know, but it was really good. Again, for me, it was a 5 star. um a couple of people I watch, one of them was like, I just don't get it, I don't like it. It was dry. I didn't think it was dry. It was boring. I didn't think it was boring. And I'm like, clearly for that person, Japanese translation is not their thing, because every time they read a Japanese translation, they complain about the same things. And then I read the book and I'm like, I loved it. So for me, I enjoy Japanese translation, and I really like the way the stories wove in and out of each other. And I think it's interesting that I read those two almost back to back because they both did a lot of similar things with weaving the characters in and out of each other's lives. So there's a couple recommendations if you're looking for something to read. Night Came with Many Stars and What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. So there's that. If you want more books recommendations, let me know. And as I get stuff that I think is worth sharing, I'll let you know. Right now, I'm reading a book called Cheese. This one got out from the library today. I've only read the first two chapters. It's very short. When Franz Larmans, a feckless clerk at an Antwerp shipyard, is offered a job importing Edam cheese from Holland, he meekly accepts, despite his loathing of the product. His head soon fills with ambition and hope to be accepted by his brother's successful friends. But when the first shipment arrives, he has no idea what to do with the 10,000 red-skinned cheeses and spends most of his time looking for a pedestal clerk or pedestal desk for his office instead of selling. The superb tragic comedy offers a poignant and at the same time humorous account of what happens when a mediocre man gets caught between his ambition and his utter ineptitude. Well, so far, I'm not impressed with the character, but I'm only on page. Where am I? I'm on page 15. So, um, chapter 2, he's kind of a jerk. His mother is dying, and he can't be bothered to go see her until like his brother-in-law comes and knocks on his door at 3 in the morning and says, "Hey, she's dying. Get over here." And so he goes and he's like, "I don't know what to do. Do I talk to my siblings? What do I do?" And then the mother dies. And I'm like, that's a lot in 15 pages. But he comes off as kind of a jerk. So I'm hoping that's the ineptitude and that he gets more likable, maybe. Of course, not every character has to be likable. So I will find out here in the next few days if I like it or not. It's going to take me a while because my eyes aren't great and I can't find it as an audio. I was doing good to track it down as a print book. I think the library actually ordered it to put on the shelf because I asked for it. So I got to read it. um, it's also on the 1001 books to read before you die list. So we'll see. Anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Instead of making 3 videos, I only made 2 tonight. So that's all right. Hopefully, hopefully, while I'm off tomorrow, I might be able to get another video made. I keep putting it off. Things have just been crazy. Um, I've got the plumbers coming yet again tomorrow because I followed their advice and it backfired on me. Um, my kitchen sink, a few weeks ago, we had such cold weather. The pipe in my under the kitchen sink burst. I had all water all over my kitchen. Got it cleaned up. They came and fixed it. And before the pipe burst, the drain worked. After they replaced the pipe, repaired the pipe, the drain was super, super slow. And they said, well, chances are when the pipe burst, it just knocked a bunch of crud loose and it's blocked. Get this stuff called liquid fire. I finally got a bottle of it. And Saturday, since I had the weekend off, I poured the stuff down the sink like it said. And I mean, it was bubbling and gurgling and making all kinds of racket. I thought, oh, this is going to work. And then it says after 15 minutes, you're supposed to flush it with cold water. It was about 20 minutes by the time I got back out to it. And I was flushing it with the cold water and the water wouldn't go down. It was completely blocked. At least before it was draining, it was just slow. Now it didn't drain at all. 36 to 40 hours later, it finally let go. all over my floor. So now I've got them coming back to try to fix it. I can't figure it out. I don't know why nothing is draining now. Where at least before it was slow, but it drained. Now I can't use the sink at all because it's leaking. Oh, this has not been a good winter for pipes in this house. It's the joys of owning an old house. It needs new plumbing desperately. And they were like, yeah, we couldn't even run a snake because the way the person who did the plumbing did it, there's all these weird angles. So they can't run a snake through it to try to break up whatever it is blocking the thing. So I'm wondering how much this one's going to cost me. I know it's not going to be cheap. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. Remember to do the YouTube things, comment, like, share, subscribe. Ring the bell icon to be notified of future uploads should the YouTube gods deem it worthy. And wish me luck that we can get this plumbing thing figured out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.